First, you're going to want to put 14 crackers in the Ziploc baggie. Make sure it's completely sealed, and then crush them. And make sure there's no air in the baggie either. You don't want that. Then you want to take whatever you're crushing them with and just crush them until they kind of look like sand. Now you don't have to be too precise with this part, but you want to add a cup of flour and then make sure that's pretty much spread out. Then you want to add about 3 shakes of salt and 3 shakes of pepper. Then you want to stir this with your fork. And you can always add a little bit more as you go. Now you want to dump the crackers into the dish, the glass dish. And then take a cup of breadcrumbs. And add it. We don't have a cup, so we're gonna do 2.5. Then mix it. So now you wanna add 3 medium-sized eggs into whatever dish. And then you want to make sure, then you want to add, wash your hands. Now you want to add about a 1/3 cup of milk into the eggs, and you want to make sure that's mixed. The milk will just help the eggs be nice and fluffy. So then your chicken will be the perfect like consistency. Well, this is also a bigger dish, and so you might want to use a smaller one. This is all we could find for right now. So now you're almost ready to have your chicken actually turn into chicken strips. But first you want to make sure you have them in this exact order. You want to make sure it has flour, eggs, and breadcrumbs. You want to have it in this order. Now you want to take your oil in your pan and you want to add about 1/2 inch of oil to the bottom of the pan. Until the complete bottom is full. Then you want to turn it up about in between the 5 and the 6, so medium, and let this like heat up. Okay, now it's time to have your chicken out and ready. You want to make sure the chicken's already pre-cut. If it's not, then you can cut it to about the size of your hands, maybe a little bit less. And this part, you want to make sure you only use one hand per thing. You want to take the chicken and you want to lay it gently and flip it over so it will look like kind of like this, where you can still see the pink. Then you want to make sure you only use one hand, don't use this hand, and nicely lay it in the egg. Then you want to use the other hand and flip it over. Might take a couple times because you want the egg completely covered. Then pick it up, let it drip, add it to the bread. Go back to the hand that has the flour, and you want to take it, you want to nicely sprinkle it over. Then you may have to pat it down to make sure it sticks. Make sure all of it is covered, flipped over. And do the same, you want to make sure you get the edges. And now this will kind of look like a giant clump of sand that you might find at the beach. And just keep doing that until it's completely covered like this. And add it to that. Then repeat the step until you have as many chicken strips. Okay, now it's time to test the oil, make sure it's ready to cook. just for this part, you want to make sure you have the flour by you in case it would catch on fire. You can dump the flour in the pan to help smother it. To test it, you want to take a little bit of water. Be really careful because it might make it mess. And whenever it starts bubbling after you add a few flicks like that, kind of like pop rocks. Now you're gonna take the chicken and you want to lay it where your arm isn't gonna touch it, like this. And you can have up to, depending on the pan size, which I'm using like a medium pan, you can add about 3. And again, you want to make sure that your arm is away from the water as much as it can be. And you're gonna let that cook until the edges are about a golden brown. Okay, so now that they're like a golden brown on the edges, it's time to flip it over. I would use tongs just so the chicken's gonna be really hot. You don't want to burn yourself. Now this is what they should look like. And you want to just make sure that you can flip them back over whenever the other side is completely golden brown like this. Okay, now that both sides are golden brown, it's time that you can turn off your stove and heat up. And then make sure your plate has a paper towel on it. So whenever you put the chicken strip there, the oil can kind of drip into it because you don't want to have your plate that completely covered in hot oil. Now this is the time, if you have a meat thermometer, you can use it, but we don't, so what you're going to do is you just want to take the chicken and you want to cut it in half. And make sure the inside is completely white like this. Make sure it's like a same color as your paper towel. And if it's a little pink, you want to make sure you put it back in the oven, the stove, because then it'll be raw. Now you have a quick and easy meal to make for your whole entire family. Even my little brother likes it. He doesn't like anything.